Look at the UN. Don't laugh. I come from this.
Quiet.
Don't laugh. I mean, it's a laughable statement.
Clear. Respectfully, are you a trans person?
I'm not.
So you're taking up space where I believe a trans woman should be here talking to me, to be quite honest, because I feel like we as trans women need to be having these conversations.
Oh no, is this rage bait? Oh yeah.
Abolish this economic model and create a new one. Thank you.
Sounds like you guys have some people to vote for.
Favor of the first gentleman, raise your hand. Parker, excuse me.
Even Sean the Black said the first part is ass. Is systemic racism still an issue? All right, let's see this.
All right, we're gonna move to the Republicans. You have 3 minutes to select your speaker.
All right, if you are confident on race relations in America, please raise your hand.
So I am speaking from the perspective, I grew up in a very far left family. I was super woke my entire life, so much so that in 2020, I was cast to be on a Netflix show teaching people how to become a BLM activist. In the process, getting ready for that show, I started.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, he's like, I've been a grifter and I'm still a grifter. I'm just grifting in a different direction because I saw that there was more money to be made. Okay. I saw more money to be made and I'm a failed actor.
Started studying the counter arguments, and it completely flipped my perspective of being black in America. And I really.
Dude, this is like Aiden Ross levels of stupidity. Like Aiden Ross having like Holocaust deniers on to convince him as a Jewish man to believe that the Holocaust might not have happened is like that level of stupidity to be like, yeah, as a black man, like I really got owned in the marketplace of ideas and it just totally made me reconsider all of the experiences that I've had in the United States of America. That's awesome.
Realized being black in America is a very easy life. So I would love to speak on this topic. It's what I do for a living.
All right, I feel like I'm best to argue this topic because I'm black in America. I experience it every single day, and it's what created my political views, and I feel like I'd be pretty good up here discussing this with somebody.
So personally, my vote wasn't going to be for me. It was going to be who I think should go. We have Connie on the other side, who is a previous conservative black woman, so I think for honestly fairness sake, we should have someone who is a previous left-wing black man. I think that would be a great topic and discussion to have.
So who votes for Xavier? Raise your hand.
Damn.
All right, Xavier's the speaker. Connie.
You're cooked, Joshua.
Xavier, let's come to the middle.
Nice to meet you, Xavier. That's a very king name, Xavier.
I know that's right.
Hey.
So I don't believe that we have a systemic racism issue in America anymore. I feel like we have a systemic disempowerment issue. And what I mean by that is really two things. First, let's start with the rhetoric that is put on black people. So you and I disagree on pretty much everything political.
Dog, you know this dude is this mother Uncle Tom's favorite nephew? Ew, dude, what? Ew, dude, ew. Why do professional black Republicans always do this? Escape the plantation. Uncle Tom's favorite nephew is like, why are you adopting white supremacist framing and white supremacist language voluntarily to describe yourself? It's so weird, dude. I mean, he's a PragerU guy, so of course.
Politically, and I will fight tooth and nail for you to be able to speak your piece and say what it is that you feel. But me, as a black conservative, I'm called an Uncle Tom and a sellout. And it makes you just sit and wonder, who is it that I'm being sold out from? This belief system that we have to have this unapologetic, unwavering.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. Both parties are pretty racist. It's just that one party at least like politely says that there is some underlying racism and maybe we should fix it. They don't really do anything about it. The other party's like, hell yeah, we're racist and we love racism. We want to do more racism. Yes, everyone that's not white is inferior to me and to you. That's it. That's literally it. It's just, and I think this is a reality that most black people also understand. It's just like, it's the devil you know versus the devil you don't type of situation. Like, that's it.
perspective of just loving what the Democrats tell us to believe is an issue. And it goes into the BLM thing and how for so long we were taught that we were supposed to be terrified of police officers who are literally the people who are supposed to be protecting us. The other part of that is when we start looking at what is actually hurting us on a systemic level. Let's look at policy. One of the biggest things that are hurting Black Americans today is policy regarding crime. We have all of these woke DAs who are putting forth policy about
He said, we need more Klansmen as DAs, okay? Can we go back to a better time when were happening? This is what I like as a Black man. Also, there's no real racism in America. A man said woke DAs, dude. What are you saying?
About or getting rid of policies, I should say, with like the 3 strikes rule, which is allowing repeat offenders on the street. We got.
Oh my God, dude. Oh my God. He said we need to repeal the 3 strikes rule. Or he said repealing the 3 strikes rule is a bad thing. Sorry. Yeah, we need more mass incarceration.
Rid of the cash bail system, which again is letting criminals back on the street, and all this different lists of issues where they're even decriminalizing theft under $900. Who is that destroying? Businesses and opportunities in Black predominant areas. So when we talk about why we're still struggling, that has a big reason because we're losing our opportunities.
Yeah. I would just like to say that I empathize on every position that you have that you explained to me, especially when talking about people calling you names.
Why are you always doing too much with Black people? Leave them alone. I want to go back to lynching. Like, I get it, but relax. Man, shut the up, okay? God damn. Yes, dude. It's because I'm racist. That's why. It's because I'm racist, dude. You got me.
People saying really mean and nasty things to you, demeaning you.
Like, there's a line, okay, when talking about or to Black conservatives. I do not cross that line, okay? I might come near that line, but I do not cross that line. So shut the up. I understand the boundaries, okay?
You because of your race, I would argue. I experienced that as a Black conservative, and it was the hardest part of being a Black conservative. But I don't understand how you can have this perspective as a Black man in America that there is no racial tension and no racial discrimination when we as Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die giving birth. When Black men are twice as likely to be killed on death row than white men for committing similar crimes. When you have the Hopi Nation of people who don't have clean water to drink, there's a diabetes epidemic because there is no clean, accessible water that they are able to afford.
One thing I've noticed is Zahn definitely doesn't like criticism. I don't like that. Do you have no capacity to analyze what just unfolded in front of your eyes and you just respond to shapes and colors? Is that what's going on? Yes, dude. A cynical radlib framework that chatter was operating off of is unimaginably annoying. You think I don't encounter that on a daily basis 1,000,000 times over, in especially progressive spaces like the one that I've cultivated here? Shut the up. That's not criticism. Someone saying you're doing too much on Black issues is not like real criticism, okay? What do you mean? Especially when I'm in the process of describing systemic racism. It's so stupid. People have no way of like analyzing what just unfolded, okay?
I don't understand how you can have these positions that there is no racial disparities and that these things weren't set up against us when there is so much going against us in this country. I would say as a woman who has experienced police violence, I was pregnant when I experienced police violence. I told them I was pregnant and they still mishandled me. They did not see me as a citizen. They did not see me as somebody to serve and protect. And by the way, there is no constitutional basis for serve and protect. They are not constitutionally obligated to serve and protect you. I just want to tell you this. I told them I was pregnant and they still mishandled me. They didn't see me as somebody to protect. They saw me as that's what they saw.
So a lot to unpack with that, and I'm truly sorry that happened to you. I think one thing to start with the middle ground that we can agree on is that, or 2 things.
He's gonna say there's bad apples in the police force.
Really, is that there is still racial tension. Now, if that's a systemic thing, I wouldn't say. Are you going to encounter racist people? Absolutely. Are you going to encounter racist people in positions of power? Unfortunately, absolutely. That's a very real thing, and I do think when it comes to the criminal justice system, even Black conservatives, look at the Blexit movement. One of the biggest things that the Blexit movement.
The Blexit movement. Come on, dude. Yeah. Look at our jobs program. Like, come on, dude. The Blexit movement. Look at Black conservatives. A whopping 8%. It's crazy, okay? There's dozens of us. You understand? There's dozens of us, and every single one of us has been hired by a Republican think tank. Okay. It's weird. The only thing they keep asking of me is to keep saying, as a black man, I know what racism looks like, and insert whichever political figure on the Republican side has been accused of being a heinous white supremacist charlatan is not a racist. Please look at CPAC. Look at the RNC. One, there's never been, at least in contemporary society, not in the past, but post-party swap, post-Southern strategy, there's never been a black congressional representative on the Republican Party that has not come from a majority white district. Black people do not vote for black Republicans. Okay, that's number one. Is that surprising? I don't know. Let's think about it. Interesting. I wonder why. Okay, that's number one. Number two, go and watch CPAC videos. Go and watch videos from the RNC. Go and watch videos from any number of Republican conferences. Okay, they live stream them. Pay attention closely to what the black speakers talk about. Okay, white speakers talk about a litany of different things that the Republican Party is doing really well. Black speakers are specifically put there to talk about how the Republican Party and the Republican platform is not racist. Okay, that's all they got. That's all they do. One must ask the question, why?
Which stands for Black Exit, exiting the left, is criminal justice reform. So with that being said, I empathize with what you're saying, and I understand your perspective there. But that being said, when it comes to systemic racism, that would infer that there's this whole system that is holding you down because you're a black woman.
But there is.
But here's the thing, is there's not. There's over 2 million black millionaires in America. Black women are outpacing in education in so many different metrics compared to every single demographic. I mean, just look at yourself. I mean, just hearing you sound very educated. You can't have all of these different success and be self-made in a country that is oppressive to you because of your skin color. We've seen what that looks like in the past, and that is just not the situation that we're in anymore. Because as I look at you as a black woman, there is not a single thing that this white man, no shade, can do that you can't do. You are capable.
I would like to disagree with you, because I think that all throughout American history, we have had black people, we have had indigenous people, we have Chicano people, we have people of all races and colors that have beat the odds, but that does not mean that those odds are not there. That does not mean that those odds are not there. A lot of people on the conservative side like to say, like, oh, well, you have all the same legal rights and responsibilities that I have. There's no law against you as a black person.
Correct.
The law is not an entity in and of itself. Law is a social construct. We enact laws in everything that we do every day of our life.
She's great.
And the way that people enact laws is what affects these disparities, what allows black men to be imprisoned for the same drugs that white men are doing, what allows black women to be dying on operating tables, giving the same birth to the same babies that white women are giving. And so I think that if we're talking about America in and of itself, why are we having these discussions about Ahmaud Arbery? Why are we having these discussions about Breonna Taylor? Why are we having these discussions about Frank Tyson, who was killed in my hometown because they kneeled on his chest? He was dying and he begged them to help him, and they said, shut the F up, and he died there under their knee.
So a couple quick things with that. So with some of the issues you were talking about, such as black women dying on the operating table, unfortunately what that is, that's a socioeconomic issue. And I feel like what a lot of people attribute to being an issue that has.
That's a socioeconomic issue. Okay. Why are black people underserved on average in comparison to their white counterparts? Why is it that the black son of a black middle class family has less job opportunities, even if they have the same exact educational attainment of a comparable white son of a white middle class family? You can't just say, oh, that's a socioeconomic issue, while simultaneously saying systemic racism is not real, okay? Also, the issue in terms of like black women dying during childbirth is it transcends class boundaries. Like, his argument is not only wrong, but even if his argument was correct, his counter was correct, oh, it's like a money problem, that still does not undercut the main premise here that like systemic racism is still a problem. You can't just like wash that away by saying it's socioeconomic. It's very simple. Okay, either you believe that there are intrinsic qualities to black people that cause them to be in the positions that they are right now, which means that you believe that they are inferior genetically, like something that black people have that causes them to be in the position that they're in right now, or you believe that there are external qualities, which is systemic racism. People can masquerade and say, oh, it's just culture, oh, it's just this or that, but like ultimately, black culture is all American culture, okay? It is the number one cultural product that Americans consume and Americans export. There are more white people in this country, and therefore more white people listen to rap music, for example. So even when you say black culture, what you're actually trying to substitute is that black people, I guess, like react to black culture differently than white people. There has to be something that is wrong with black people then. That is the reason why a lot of these people that say like, oh, it's just black culture, it's not the black race, are just racists that are embarrassed and are trying to hide the underlying racist sentiment. Dumb take. This is wrong. Dumb take. Why can't you guys, why are you physically incapable of just addressing what is wrong about it instead of just being like, this is wrong and dumb? I will not elaborate further. Rage baited. Okay, good. Take a day off.
To do with systemic racism is really socioeconomic, because you don't see wealthier black people having those issues at the same rate. If it was a systemic racism issue, it would have to do with race, not to do with wealth. And then when we look at situations like some of the names you said, let's start with Breonna Taylor. The way that the media lies to black people to gaslight us into thinking that we need to be terrified of police officers is absolutely unacceptable. If you really look into the tea that happened with Breonna Taylor, they lied to us about that whole situation. Breonna
Are you
Taylor,
talking about the Tatum report? That one?
I'm talking about all of it. I'm talking about the whole system. I don't need to look at what Breonna Tatum has to say about it, but I think he had a lot of intelligence things to say about it. Because if you go and you look at the actual facts of what happened with Breonna Taylor, she was knee deep in that criminal investigation. That being said, with the
What? Bro, what? That is just a lie, dude. What? That is an insane lie. Also, here's the other part. Here's the other role that black conservative spokesmen play as they put a black face on white supremacy, okay? That is to get away with that, like, racist white people would not be able to get away with saying. It is, once again, creating a permission structure for racist white people to feel more comfortable because they're like, see, a black person agrees with me. Candace Owens does this as well. It's really up.
The reason I bring that up, because I'm not saying that her dying was something that should have happened. However, you can't ignore that her boyfriend shot first. You can't ignore that they were at the right house. When I first heard
Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, fired first when police broke the door off the hinges. The bullet hit an officer in the thigh. He later told police he thought Taylor's ex-boyfriend was attempting to break in. Officers returned fire, including one officer who was fired 10 rounds blindly into the apartment. Yeah. In the middle of the night, when someone is breaking into your apartment and you shoot at them, it's your understandable position. You have a right to defend yourself. No knock warrant on a wrong house too.
Heard about Breonna Taylor. Back then, I was a BLM activist. I was out there marching for Breonna Taylor, literally, because I thought that this black woman was minding her business, laying in her bed, and a police officer came and shot her in the window.
Okay, but
that
you
is
have
not what
homeowners'
happened.
rights. If we're talking about guns, you as a homeowner, you do not know who is entering your home. You have the right to shoot.
They announced.
No, they didn't, because
Yes,
there's
they
actually
did.
3 different neighbors who each contested that they did not announce themselves. But if I'm being honest, it's not even just socioeconomic, because they did the same study with black women and white women of the same socioeconomic stature, and black women still died more. Yes. Why are we poor? Because this country was.
Why do I think he's lying? It's because he is lying. He's just straight up lying. He's a straight up white supremacist. You cannot be a conservative commentator, especially as a black person, without fulfilling a very specific role. That role is straight up justifying white supremacy and white supremacist talking points on a regular basis. That is what you're there to do. That's it.
Set up to make us poor, because we were given a culture of desperation that makes us poor, because we were set down hundreds of years down the line. We do not have the education we need. We do not have the reparations we need. We do not have everything we need to thrive and to strive. They killed our leaders. They killed Martin Luther.
Wrong house. What news you reading? Wrong house, as in the supposed quote unquote investigation that they conducted to be able to get a search warrant, to get a no-knock warrant, was not justifiable at all. That Breonna Taylor was not even remotely involved. The fuck are you talking about? Breonna Taylor's a nurse, dude. Fact check. Separating the truth from the lies in the Breonna Taylor police shooting. The facts. What happened at Breonna Taylor's apartment. Claim. Police were at the wrong apartment. Various Facebook and Twitter posts claimed the Louisville police went to the wrong apartment the night of Taylor's death when they served the search warrant. Ben Crump, a Florida attorney involved in the Taylor case, wrote on Twitter, police had the wrong address and their real suspect was already in custody. The Courier-Journal obtained copies of the 5 search warrants the Louisville police received authorization as a part of the narcotics investigation. Wait, this is correct. What are you talking about? 1 was Taylor's apartment. 3 were in the Russell neighborhood for adjacent homes on Elliott Avenue, and 1 was for the house of West Muhammad Ali Boulevard. The Muhammad Ali Boulevard was not executed. The search warrant for Taylor's home includes her street address, apartment number, and photos of her apartment. Yeah, they still went to the wrong house. What are you talking about? Unless you think that Breonna Taylor is not a nurse, but instead a drug dealer, then yeah, they went to the wrong house, dumbass. What do you mean? Your fact check, hello? R rating false. The search warrant for Taylor and her home explicitly identified her and her address. Yeah, the Louisville police was not Did you not read? This does not, the argument is not whether or not the police had a warrant to go to Breonna Taylor's house, you idiot. They did. The point is that she is not a drug dealer. They believe Taylor had ties to Glover, one of the main suspects in the investigation. However, the search warrant they used to enter her home contained erroneous information that Taylor was receiving suspicious packages tied. Do you guys just like Google fact check Breonna Taylor and then just like post it in here? You said wrong house. You said wrong house. Not unreasonable. I don't understand your point. The fact check that you sent me literally proves what I'm saying. They went to the wrong house, as in not that they didn't have a search warrant for that house. They went to the wrong house because there were no drugs there. Breonna Taylor was not involved in this fucking drug case. The detective literally lost their job for claiming that that was the case. What are you talking about? The article itself literally proves that. Are you okay? Like, when I say they went to the wrong house, okay, I thought you meant the wrong house as it wasn't the right people. No, that is what I'm saying. It wasn't the right person. Breonna Taylor was not the right person. What are you saying? Do you have a hard time with reading comprehension? Because the same article that you sent me that says this was false literally proves the point that I'm making. Nah, they're just taking you out of context on purpose. They know what you mean, but are going off of your exact words was a gotcha. It's really a mystery how you, of all people, have the dumbest shadows of all time. The reason for that is because a lot of people want to feel smart, or at the very least, they come in here because they want to debate this kind of stuff. That's why they come in here.
King, they killed.
Who's they?
I'm talking about the CIA, the FBI, the American government.
Oh, that's T. That's T. I actually have a middle ground thing that she just said.
So let's let Connie start and then you respond.
Okay.
What's a middle ground you want to offer between the two of you?
I think I would agree with you that the Black community and many communities of color are currently suffering a crisis.
No, don't
What
agree
I
with
would say
anything.
agree with you on is that Black people were essentially set up to fail in this country, but the thing is, if we're really going to get into it, who set us up to fail? The Democratic Party. I mean, if we look at everything just from the welfare system, are you familiar with the whole origin of that? And then a lot of people try to say, oh, they switched sides. No, they didn't. That is a myth. But when you look at the welfare system, it was set up to keep us poor.
I'm not hearing any overlap.
I heard a lot.
Okay, let's give you one more chance.
We need to give our communities of color more tools to thrive in this country.
I think we need to give all Americans more tools to thrive in this country.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, see, this is the problem with liberalism in general. Not saying that Connie is a liberal. I don't think she is, because she said a bunch of stuff that I don't think is in line with like liberalism. But I do think that this is the problem with this sort of rhetoric and how right-wingers dominate this.
And I think that we've already given Black Americans so many. I mean, just look at affirmative action and DEI, but no one wants to have that conversation.
Affirmative action actually benefits white women the most.
Oh, I've seen. Trust me, I know. But it's still helping Black people too, because you can see Black people.
He's like, I mean, that he's just revealing his perspective. He's like, I wouldn't mind if it helped white women, but I hate that it helps Black people.
Who should not be in the colleges that they're in, they're there. To find a middle ground with you, I do think that there is still more progress to always be made in our country when it comes to healing racial relations. I don't think that we need to do things that are too artificial to get there. I don't think we need to give anyone special treatment. However, I think we need to put more tools and resources in the communities that need it most.
I would just have to disagree with that prompt. I don't think it's special treatment when white people have had special treatment in this country for over 200 years. I'm sorry, you can scoff all you want, but it's the truth. And you know it's the truth, so I'm sorry.
Okay, so we're going to put a pin in it. It's basically, I feel like we heard.
Something that I've mentioned before is that like the previous historic wrongs committed were dished out on the basis of your skin color. You cannot offer restitution to that without addressing that problem, okay? It's very weird when people try to be like, no, you don't understand. Like, it's just, why not everybody? It's like, first of all, he does not want that to happen for everybody because he's a Republican, okay? He doesn't want that to happen at all. It's a classic Republican deflection to be like, oh, well, what about, what about homeless veterans? Anytime they try to, anytime that anybody tries to talk about immigrants, they're like, oh, what about homeless veterans? It's like, you don't care about homeless veterans. You don't care about homeless people at all. Okay? You don't. Shut. You're just using that as a talking point to deflect away from the main point of contention here.
Heard a good summary of both of their perspectives, so we're just going to take their perspectives. So
did he say that? I'm using an analogy. I'm using a argument that is used by Republicans often in a similar vein. Okay? Him saying, oh, we need to uplift all Americans when she's talking specifically about uplifting black Americans to right historic wrongs that were done to black people is a deflection mechanism.
So based on those statements that we just heard, raise your hand.
Dude, of course you're pushing the Nazi Trump propaganda. What? Oh, I'm going to throw up. Don't take the bait is hard.
If Connie's statement resonated with you more. Okay, anybody on this side disagree with Connie?
I appreciate your respective standpoints on how you both handle this, and I think you both had some great points, and I agree.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Stop. What's the next question? What should America's stance be on the war in the Middle East?
Please raise your hand.
Okay, I just
strategy, but you used to live there, and now there's necessarily safe.
Oh, this is the crazy lady.
I
Find an agreement, a middle ground statement that you would both stand by, and then we'll share it with the group. But you have 10 minutes to discuss the issue and get to that point.
Yeah, so I think one thing we can agree on is that it is against U.S. law under the Leahy Law and the Foreign Assistance Act to supply military aid to a country that is violating international law abroad.
Okay.
And we know from the U.S. Department of International Aid and Development, as well as the U.S. State Department for Refugees and Migrants, that Israel is guilty of blocking and obstructing humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip, particularly within the first few months of the war. And that's why the ICC chief prosecutor that Israel said was their preferable candidate has applied for arrest warrant applications to top Israeli officials.
This guy
it is
knows
also
a lot.
why the ICJ is currently on trial with Israel for a case of genocide, and why the ICJ has already weighed in on that the illegal occupation in the West Bank needs to end. And we also have had a Security Council resolution when the United States abstained from the Security Council that once again there should be an immediate ceasefire. The only time that the most amount of hostages were put back in Israel.
What are these fact checks? The U.S. abstained from the UN Security Council resolution in March because it was a watered-down version brought forward by Russia and China, not what the State Department described as a comprehensive version. The U.S. always supported a ceasefire in exchange of releasing hostages. What is happening with the Jubilee fact checks right now? They're going nutty mode. What?
Was when there was a ceasefire and a negotiation and a hostage exchange between Hamas and Israel. Israel has actually killed more of their hostages than they've rescued. They have shot and killed Israeli hostages.
Hamas released 105 Israeli hostages during a ceasefire between November 24th and 2023. In total, approximately 117 of the 251 hostages have been released.
Waving a white flag, speaking Hebrew. That is the kind of conduct that Israel uses in this war.
There's a lot that was put into that first statement. First of all, the ICC had to push off their case against the genocide of Israel for lack of evidence. Number one,
the ICJ ruled in May that Israel should halt its military operation in Rafah. The ICC was not hearing a case against Israel. No, the ICC had to halt prosecuting its case against Israel because Mossad literally went after the prosecutor that came before Karim Khan. They're going after Karim Khan as well. They went after Bensouda, and even went as far as to get the United States of America under Donald Trump to issue, to literally sanction her. Okay? The ICC doesn't prosecute countries. The ICC prosecutes people. Yes, the ICC prosecutes people. The ICC was prosecuting on the basis that people in the Israeli government were conducting a genocide before Karim Khan.
I'm speaking now. Number two, oh my God, there is so much. So, okay, Israel is our number one ally. There is so much work between Israel and the United States, and I understand the America First strategy, but you have to understand there is so much intelligence going back and forth to keep Americans and Israelis safe from all of the terrorists coming out of the Middle East, number one. Number two, Israel's fighting 7 fronts right now. They just killed a Hezbollah leader that murdered 100.
According to Foreign Policy magazine, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Iran is fighting Israel on a 7-front war. Iran itself, Hamas, and militant groups in Gaza, Hezbollah, Lebanon, Houthis in Yemen, Iran-backed militias in Iraq and Syria, and efforts to arm Palestinian militants in the West Bank.
42 Marines that
I like that the fact checks are agreeing with her.
had a bounty on his head by America. That has happened now twice where Israel has murdered terrorists because they had killed not only U.S. military personnel, but also were just bombarding Israel.
Fact check reiterating what Benjamin Netanyahu said is all you need to know about these facts that are being checked.
And they don't care who they kill, Muslims, Christians, Jews, mosques. They don't care. They just inadvertently bomb the city. Okay, number one. Number two, there is no genocide. Let me explain why. The Palestinian population went from 500,000 people in the 1940s to 5 million right now, as opposed to an actual genocide where the Jews in Nazi Germany went from...
The population in Palestinian territories was 1.8 million in 1990. It more than doubled to over 5 million by 2022. Fact check. Fact check. Fact check. Genocide denial. Like what? It's like saying the Jewish population globally was 12 million before and is now 15 million. Like what do you mean? That doesn't undermine the fact that the Holocaust happened. This is such a insane thing. This is an insane fact check.
A population of 10 million to 4 million. I'm not done. That is an actual genocide. Why is Israel so good at so many things, but they're just so crappy at genocide? Why is the...
I don't know if Israel's so good at so many things. This is the CEO of the fact check website. What is this fact check? TD Ameritrade, acquired by Charles Schwab Corporation. Straight Arrow News. Mr. Ricketts, a conservative and GOP donor, came up with the idea for Straight Arrow News after a discussion with a longtime liberal friend that left both men wondering why people on different sides of the political spectrum couldn't put their biases aside. Oh, I'm losing my mind, dude. Dude, what the I feel like I'm going crazy. Thank God for this unbiased man doing the Herculean task of combating misinformation with his straight arrow fact checks. Oh my God. Bottom of his wiki page, he's an Islamophobe. On February 5th, 2019, Splinter News released a cache of Ricketts' emails from 2009 to 2014. He wrote that Islam could not create a civil society, that we cannot ever let Islam become a large part of our society, and that Muslims are naturally in parentheses, our enemy. Included were Obama citizenship conspiracy theory emails and claims that Obama favored Islam over other religions. Also included were multiple racist joke emails that he received and responded to positively, including slurs against Black and Hispanic people. He apologized for the emails after they were made public. I'm so glad that we have the CEO of racism doing fact checks over issues that pertain to racism. He gave $2.2 million to Donald Trump's 2020 campaign. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is the guy that's running the Jubilee fact checks. I mean, it smelled weird to me when I looked at the supposed fact checks that were occurring. It didn't make any sense. And now it makes too much sense. I don't think you understand the point behind the fact check bubbles is not just a dispute. Yeah, when this person is saying that Israel's currently not doing a genocide, okay? When its conduct has all the markings of a genocide, when not only that, but also the ICJ is currently prosecuting Israel for conducting a genocide, and that they have found it plausible enough to continue an investigation into it. And her counter is, well, Palestinians f*** a lot, you know? So obviously there is no genocide. And the fact check bubble underneath goes, yeah, she's right. Palestinian population has skyrocketed, so there is no genocide. then it's not just fact checking. Okay? They're saying that she's right. This is how propaganda works.
The population booming. Number two, what else did he bring up? Occupation. Okay. When I did my genetic testing, it says in my genetic testing, Judea. It tells me that I come from, my indigenous homeland is.
What? What? I don't think that's real. I don't think that's the case. Is 23andMe also just like, it would be weird if 23andMe itself was like so in the tank for Israel, despite the fact that I'm pretty sure that you can't even like directly get a 23andMe test in Israel. that they're like, hey, 23andMe said I'm from Judea, so the West Bank no longer exists and Palestine doesn't exist. To be fair, the Romans called it Judea. That being said, the Zionist lady's a 7-figure net worth plastic surgeon from LA who has appeared on PragerU. Of course, every single person that we watched so far is a PragerU person. Hey, Hassan, please check messages. Don't populations boom under extreme circumstances? Yes, they do.
Judea. No other religion, when you do your genetic testing, is going to say you come from here or from here, from here. It doesn't say that because Judaism predates the current definitions of ethnicity and religion. It's an ethno-religion, and this is an indigenous homecoming of Jews.
The Jewish people are an ethno-religious group, and Israel is an ethno-religious nation. However, Judaism is not the only ethno-religion in the world. Nice fact check.
I
Thanks.
know the left always likes to say this is oppressed versus oppressor, or it's darker people versus white people. Israel is 70% non-white. They look like
Israel 73% Jewish, 21% Arab, and 5.4% other, according to the CIA. More than 60% of Israel's Jewish population comes from Middle Eastern and African nations. Why this distinction then? Why is it that Israel's own distinction, according to the CIA, its own demographic designation is different? Judaism is an ethno-religion, okay? That's true. But having said that, it's quite odd that 60% of Israel's Jewish population comes from Middle Eastern and African nations from the MENA region. Why are they categorized separately than the other Arabs that happen to be non-Jewish inside of Israel? I wonder what that could be. What's that about? That's weird. That's weird. Itamar Ben-Gvir is, you know, when you first look at him, virtually indistinguishable from any other Arab or Kurdish man because he is Arab and Kurdish. I wonder why Israel chose to make a specific demographic classification on the virtue of his religion. They don't speak Arabic? Yes, they do. Plenty of Arab Jews do speak Arabic. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I work for a plastic surgery conference and we got like 1 million emails along to remove this lady from our faculty list. Her social media is insane. Judea, yeah, my DNA says I come from Agraba. Because Jewish is an ethnicity. They aren't the same because historically they didn't mix much, to be fair. You can actually look at their DNA and differentiate. Yeah, the irony, of course, of that conversation is you could look at the DNA and trace the genetic ancestry of the Palestinians that are living there back to also the OG Jews. Not everyone left. Okay? Also, none of this matters. You can't just be like, sorry, I own this, and then just kill or ethnically displace 1 million people almost that live there and then continue to dominate them for almost a century. Like, that's an idiotic proposition to begin with. Genuine question, why are there different demographic classifications in Israel? I mean, because Israel is a ethno and religious supremacist state. It is fascist inherently. Zionism is inherently fascist. That's what it is.
like me. Okay, there are people of color that have returned home after being sent out from all other places. If you look at the populations of Yemen, Syria, Jordan, Egypt, where hundreds of thousands of Jews used to live there, and now there's less than 50. And in a lot of states, 1 Jew left. So don't talk to me about apartheid. Arabs are allowed in Israel. No Jews are allowed in Gaza. Don't talk to me about apartheid. Don't talk to me about occupation. Don't talk to me about genocide.
So the first thing, you said that the ICC you said the ICC dismissed the case
They
of
didn't
genocide.
dismiss it. They pushed it out because they don't have enough
first of all,
evidence.
you don't know what the ICC is because it's the ICJ that is actually doing
The
conducting.
ICJ, I'm sorry. I work with an organization called ICC. I apologize.
Yeah, so the ICJ is still continuing.
Right,
its
but they
hearing
don't
on-
have enough evidence to close their case. So they have to push it out.
If you know anything about, for example, the Rwandan genocide or the case in Bosnia, these sorts of cases take years to finalize.
So we'll see
They
what
give
happens.
they've already given a preliminary ruling that there is sufficient enough evidence that there is a plausible case to be made for the case of
They're
genocide.
getting
And the
paid.
reason for that is because, again, the ICC chief prosecutor Karim Khan, who Israel's was preferred candidate, has said he has sufficient enough evidence to believe that top Israeli officials were using starvation as a weapon of war.
No.
And
Hamas
in
is
terms of
actually-
the wait, and then in terms of the debate regarding occupation, that has nothing to do with genetics. The occupation is a political reality. It depends on what sorts of states have legitimacy or sovereignty over a specific land. And the ICJ once again has already made their ruling that the occupation within the West Bank is illegal. Wait, do you dispute whether or not the occupation by Israel is illegal in the West Bank? And do you dispute that Netanyahu is attempting to annex Area C?
I dispute the word occupation wholeheartedly and altogether.
but specifically,
Because the tomb of
you've brought
Rachel,
up-
who is a Jewish matriarch, is in the West Bank.
Let's-
Do you know I cannot go visit the tomb of Rachel, who is in the Bible, because Jews are not allowed to go into the West Bank without getting lynched? Number two, who brought
Jews are not allowed to go into the West Bank without getting lynched. The West Bank is literally occupied by the IDF. I mean, if you want to go to visit the tomb, abolish the apartheid. What do you mean? You can't go to the West Bank without getting lynched. No one's claiming Jewish people didn't exist in Palestine before Israel. I know. That's like so. Oh my God. There were Jewish people living in historic Palestine as well under the Ottoman Empire and also during British Mandate Palestine as well. Even before the settler colonial occupation.
brought the ICJ case? Who brought it?
South Africa.
Why? Because they were going broke. There was about to be literally a coup against them.
They were going broke. So they were like, let's go after Israel for what? By the way, going to Rachel's tomb is literally a Jewish pilgrimage. I mean, okay, you're sending me this, but I'll have you know that this is moments before they got so that I imagine that that's what's happening. So guess what? The Israeli occupying force needs to occupy even harder.
And Iran came and said, we'll pay your debts if you do this for us.
So
Okay.
I just want to.
And then, but a ton of other countries have joined the ICJ.
Because they're
case.
anti-Semitic. Look at the UN.
I want to.
San fact check. The countries are indeed anti-Semitic.
Don't laugh. I come from this.
Quiet.
Don't laugh. I mean, it's a laughable statement. Yeah, the UN is anti-Semitic. Everyone that criticizes Israel is anti-Semitic. Like, nobody believes this, man. What the are we doing?
Sheila, can you just clarify your opinion on the settlements in the West?
That's so funny. Someone's going to clip it and be like, wow, Hasan is laughing at anti-Semitism again. Okay, this combo is annoying me.
So I think that everybody should be able to live in these areas. I don't think there should be parts of Israel where Arabs cannot go, and I don't think there's parts of Israel where Jews cannot go without fear of being lynched. So these things, there's no reason why we can't live together. And I'll tell you why the reason is. Maybe this is our common ground, actually. When I grew up in Iran, okay, they would tell us, as I was in kindergarten, they would tell us, scream death to this, death to that, death to America, death to Israel, when I was a child. And we know for a fact that in Palestine, they're doing the same thing. We've shown images of their TV shows where it's a fake Mickey Mouse saying, stop the Jew, stop the Jew. This is teaching hate from a young age to children.
Palestinian children in Gaza attend summer camps that teach them to be the generation of victory, to never recognize Israel, and to never withdraw from the right to return, or the belief that descendants of Palestinian refugees have a right to return to their homes and property of what is now in Israel. So that's a wild thing to say, and I can't tell if this fact check is like supposed to discredit her, or if the fact check is trying to be like, yeah, and that's actually exactly what she's talking about. Wow, I can't believe Palestinian children learned that like they should be able to dream that one day they can return to their ancestral homes. How anti-Semitic, dude. Wow, this sounds exactly like what she said, except not at all.
That don't know any better, and it is brainwashing, and it is hateful, and it is child abuse. Once we raise these children to love, to value life, to believe that we can thrive and we don't have to kill Jews, and our thriving is more important than killing Jews, they will have a future. They will have a future.
Is that your middle ground?
That is my middle ground.
Netanyahu's own administration.
What a great middle ground. My middle ground is Palestinians learn at the age of 2 to kill the Jew. That's my middle ground. I will not elaborate. Also, the UN and every other country that has ever disagreed with Israel is anti-Semitic. That's awesome. That wonderful middle ground there. Thank you.
With people like the National Security Advisor Ben Gvir as well as Smotrich don't even deny the existence of a Palestinian
That's two people.
Wait, stop. I let you speak.
Go ahead.
In terms of where we may find a middle ground, I do believe that, yes, I believe in freedom within the land and also equal rights within the land. Absolutely. But that entails in the dismantling of an ethno-state that is centered around prioritizing the religion and ethnicity of one indigenous group over another.
What about all of the Muslim lands? What about North Africa? What about all of the Middle East?
They're not Palestinians.
Okay,
they're not
but what about those
Palestinians.
states?
They're
Would you
different
say the same
people.
thing? Those are ethno states? Would you want to dismantle?
Wait, first of all, if any of those countries were like, yeah, dude, Jews are not allowed here, yeah, that would be completely unacceptable. What do you mean? They're not ethno states. Like, they don't, I don't understand.
Those as
it
well?
seems like we're derailing.
No, there's double standards against Israel that they're not against any other country.
Does Israel have an explicit demographic issue and that they would not accept an Israel that is majority non-Jew? Yes or no?
Well, this is the case.
Yes or no?
No, let me tell you.
Yes or no?
No, it is yes. It is written in the law. There is no other country that has so openly expressed their demographic concern. I'll give you an example. The United States of America is a white supremacist nation, okay? It was built on white supremacist values. That is just the truth. You might agree with it, you might disagree with it, doesn't matter. Historically speaking, it was built on these values, okay? And we have a bunch of shit, or had a bunch of shit in our laws that expressed that sentiment, that expressed that desire. There's remnants of that still baked into all of our institutions. Ironically enough, the first point of contention was whether or not America is still a systemically racist country, which it is. But even in the United States of America, okay, even in the United States of America, we do not have, as far as I know, an explicit demographic concern that is codified in the law. Okay, Israel does have that. That's crazy. Israel has that. Now imagine if America was like, no, it has to be. Where is it codified? Okay, one immediate example I can give you is that occupied East Jerusalem has directly written in the law that it has to have a 60% majority Jewish ownership. 60% of the occupied East Jerusalem area has to be Jewish. That is literally in the law. Israel itself openly, since I believe 2018, says that it is a Jewish nation state for Jews and Jews only. Okay, that Israel is a Jewish state for Jews. There are a litany of different complications that Palestinian citizens of Israel, 25%, that got citizenship in 1967, that used to live in a similar structure to how the West Bank Palestinians exist under military occupation until 1967. Once they were formally recognized as Israeli citizens, Palestinian citizens of Israel, they still had a litany of different legal complications. They were no longer being prosecuted under military courts in the way that West Bank Palestinians still are because they're under military occupation. They could now be prosecuted under civil courts, having like civil criminal courts. Having said that, for example, there's still issues with interfaith marriage. There's still issues with converting to Judaism for Palestinians. And beyond that, legally, Israeli Jews can kick out or deny a Palestinian, a non-Jewish Palestinian citizen of Israel from living in their communities to this day. Yeah, stream just got age restricted. What do you mean? In your time covering Palestinian emancipation, have you noticed a decline in the quality of defense of the Israeli government's actions because this is bad? Yes. But that's also because it's like more people are aware of how indefensible it is.
Stop. There's no yes and no because this is nuanced and that's why we are here. You cannot give majority to a people that want you dead. Right. That is the end of your country.
So the answer to that is yes, they have an explicit law.
There's no law.
Yes,
there is no law.
They do have a nation state law that they passed in 2019, and the Israel's own Supreme Court has actually declared that there's no such thing as the identity of being Israeli because it would undermine the Jewish identity and Jewish character of Israel. What is we as Americans, and I heard some of that sentiment before. Once again, I'll circle sort of back. And I never heard a response to any of the initial points I made.
Yeah, but we don't have time. Just what are you trying to state?
That the U.S. should not be supplying weapons and aid to a country explicitly violating international law. We know for a fact the occupation is against international law. The ICJ, which is the highest.
Fact check. Wrong. In 2013, Israel's Supreme Court ruled against a group who wanted to put Israeli on their state-issued ID cards rather than Jewish.
Americans and
plenty of disagreement. I think that's very clear. Respect both of your passion, but it does sound like there could be some middle ground on one state solution with equal representation. I'll let you both take a swing at that.
I'll take a swing at that. Knowing and coming from the Middle East and knowing what they teach children, the only way that there can be a one state, the only way that there can be peace in that region is when you stop teaching kids to hate. And the same thing we did in Nazi Germany with denazification and de-radicalization of the youth needs to happen to these innocent children in Gaza and the West Bank to teach them that their lives and their ability to thrive and their opportunity matters more than killing Jews.
Yeah, I believe that the best and most effective way.
Yeah, I agree. Denazification needs to happen, just not in the way that she thinks. You know, bro, she's absolutely insane. Yeah, I'm done. I can't watch the rest of this. I'm done for the night. I'm tired. It's bumming me out. Jubilee, you've bested me again. Oh.